India bat, make 2 changes in Bengaluru. Australia unchanged for the second test while the hosts lose Murali Vijay to injury. India have won the toss and elected to bat first in the second test against Australia in Bengaluru. The hosts have made 2 changes to their side. Opener Murali Vijay is out with the left shoulder injury sustained in the first test and has been replaced at the top of the order by left-hander Abhinav Mukund, while batsman Karun Nair comes in to strengthen the batting lineup, with off-spinner Jayant Yadav dropping out of the side. Nair scored a triple century against England late last year but was left out of the side for the first test. Australia had already confirmed an unchanged 11 from the side that won the first test in Pune, a result that gave the tourists a 1-0 series lead. The Aussies can retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy with victory at the end. Chinnaswamy Stadium. India 11, Abhinav Mukund, KL Rahul, Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, C. Ajinkya Rahane, Karun Nair, Ravichandran Ashwin, Ridhiman Saha, Ravindra Jadeja, Umesh Yadav, Ishant Sharma. Australia 11, David Warner, Matthew Renshaw, Steve Smith, C. Shaun Marsh, Peter Handscombe, Mitchell Marsh, Matthew Wade, Mitchell Starc, Steve O'Keefe, Nathan Lyon, Josh Hazlewood. Match preview clasping an early series lead and the belief that India are on the hop if not quite on the ropes. Australia will take an unchanged 11 into the second test that starts at Bengaluru's Chinnaswamy Stadium tomorrow. Captain Steve Smith today confirmed what was widely expected in the wake of his team's triple 3-run win in the campaign opener at Pune last week, that no changes were needed despite a decidedly different pitch being rolled out in Bengaluru. The fact that all of the batters made a contribution in the first test, the fast bowlers were barely required after India's first innings and the spinners are brimming with confidence meant the prospect of change hinged on fitness issues alone. And with all 16 members of the touring party in good health and better spirits, the selectors on duty interim chair Trevor Horns and coach Rain Laman in consultation with Smith have opted for an unchanged team. The nature of the playing surface has become something of an international obsession since the Pune strip was officially rated poor by ICC match referee Chris Broad with the first test finished inside 3 days. But the Australians have watched with interest as the Chinnaswamy ground staff have tended to the second test pitch this week, removing most of the grass that covered much of the surface as well as sweeping, scrubbing and even vacuuming the deck to leave it looking vastly different to what the tourists found at their inaugural Bengaluru training session on Wednesday. It looks a little bit different to the last one, in Pune, Smith said today. I think they were going to cut a little bit more of the grass off, but it looks like a wicket that will have a bit more pace and carry as the game goes on. It will take a bit more spin, but it looks like a wicket that is quite similar to what England played on recently, during their 5-test tour to India late last year, where first innings runs are going to be crucial. If you can go big in the first innings it will set the team up. I think this one is more likely going to be one where we are going to have to go really big, but it could be totally different. It could play totally different to what we think at the moment. It's about being able to sum it up and being adaptable and being able to communicate straight away what we think the wicket is like. Another crucial difference between Pune, which hosted its first ever test, and Bengaluru, the only historic test venue being utilized in this 4-match series, is the appearance of the center wicket block. At Pune, the proximity of half a dozen heavily trafficked practice pitches on the square meant the ball was scuffed and scarred very quickly through natural attrition, meaning the hope of new ball swing vanished after an over or two. At Chinnaswamy, which recently had a state-of-the-art drainage system installed, the wicket block features only the test pitch amid a lush, verdant center square, which means the ball might maintain its sheen and hardness for considerably longer. That should ensure the fast bowlers from both teams play a far more meaningful role than in Pune, where only India's Umesh Yadav, 6-71, wielded any real influence. But Smith is confident that the departure from overtly spinning conditions won't blunt the potency of his slow bowlers, Notably, player of the match in the opening test Steve O'Keefe, whose return of 12 to 70 proved a major point of difference between the teams. "I think he will be fine," Smith said when asked if he expected O'Keefe to remain a threat on a pitch far more friendly to batters. "He has got an incredible record back home on wickets that traditionally don't spin that much. He is very adaptable the way he bowls. He has been working in the nets the last couple of days in the nets at getting over the top of the ball a little bit more. So we have seen with him he has got different seam positions and different arm positions for different conditions, and I am sure he will be able to adapt fine." Smith also took the rare opportunity, with his team holding a 1-0 lead after securing their first test win on Indian soil since 2004, to ratchet up the pressure on his opposition. Despite the fact India has lost just one of its past 20 tests on home soil, the hosts have come under some typically searching scrutiny from their local media after the scope of their defeat in Pune. Much of it sparked by the sight of a handful of Australia players working in the nets on what would have been day 5 of the Pune test, while the India players took to the nearby hills for a team bonding retreat. While the critics have conveniently overlooked the reality that India have played 14 tests more than any other test nation over the past 9 months, Smith was quick to highlight the weight of expectation that hangs permanently over Team India. "I think they will feel under a little bit of pressure," Smith said, citing the pre-series predictions that his team would be hard-pressed to win a session let alone a match on this Kantas tour of India. "Obviously going into this series, all I heard was 4-0 to them. So they are 1 down and need to come back. We are 1 win away from retaining the Border Gavaskar trophy, so things can happen pretty quickly here. The way we played last week was such a positive sign. It was a difficult wicket and we showed them we can compete in those conditions. And more importantly, we probably showed ourselves as well. For us it's about continuing to do the same things, and make sure our plans are in place for both innings, and they can change. We saw that in the last test, at Pune. In the first innings, guys were a little bit more defensive, then once we got a bit ahead of the game and conditions got a bit more difficult, that's when you probably need to pull out some different shots. You saw guys sweeping and reverse sweeping. It's easy to do when you are ahead of the game. But you almost need to have that similar mindset when you are not. Australia 11, David Warner, Matthew Renshaw, Steve Smith, C. Shane Marsh, Peter Handscomb, Mitchell Marsh, Matthew Wade, Mitchell Stark, Steve O'Keefe, Nathan Lyon, Josh Hazlewood. India squad. For first 2 tests Virat Kohli, C. Murali Vijay, KL Rahul, Cheshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, Wriddhiman Saha, WK, Ravichandran Ashwin, Ravindra Jadeja, Ishant Sharma, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Umesh Yadav, Karun Nair, Jayant Yadav, Kuldeep Yadav, Abhinav Mukund, Hardik Pandya. February 17 to 19. Tour match we India A. Mumbai February 23 to 27. First test, Australia won by 333 runs, Pune. March 4 to 8. Second test, Bengaluru. March 16 to 20th. Third test, Ranchi March 25 to 29. Fourth test, Dharamshala.